Welcome back to Up and Adams. Here he is, five-time first-team All-Pro linebacker, Panthers radio analyst, future Hall of Famer, smartest dude in football, Kuechly. How we doing? We got to start with the big news this morning. Your team got a head coach fired.
We got to win. We got to win yesterday, and in the process, Dennis Allen's no longer there. So it was a exciting day in Bank of America Stadium. Bryce came in, got a win, got a lot of young guys involved, and hadn't heard Sweet Caroline playing Bank of America Stadium in a long time, so it was good to hear it.
It's amazing. You really have, I mean, for several games, you kind of got your chops under you and having to deal with adversity and tiptoe and tap dance when things aren't going your way and you're in the fourth quarter. But yesterday was really fun. The Saints completely, it was a close game, as we're seeing, of course, and as we saw. And I'm just curious, like not from like a culture, you lost the players sort of standpoint, as far as the plays being called, the decisions that were being made, what did you see that you think sort of led to this move on the Saints side to get rid of Dennis Allen?
I think you start so fast. They win those first two games of the season. They're scoring 40 points, and then you lose 7 in a row. And kind of watching the game yesterday, there was a situation. I think it was 6 minutes left on the clock. They had the ball 4th and 1 at about midfield. They'd been running the ball well all game. And then they didn't go for it. I think that was one that we were very surprised about watching the game, just based on how the game was going, what they were doing, how we were playing offensively. We fully anticipated them to try to draw us off sides, call a timeout, and then try to go ahead and get it with Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill. They've been running it great, and that decision is something that I looked at. I'm like, man, I think we might have caught a break there on the Panthers side.
Yep, and then after the game, of course, we saw Cam Jordan sort of walking away. Alvin Kamara followed him. That was weird. And while all this is going on, there was that hit to Olave, right? He was coming, big hit, coming across the middle. He leaves the game with a concussion, and then we have the chirping from Michael Thomas on Twitter. He's ripping into Derek Carr. He's like sub-tweeting Devontae Adams about his all-pro seasons. He's basically saying, dude's scary and panic, just throw the ball, get him the F out of here. He's so that, okay? They fired all them coaches trying to cover his flaws up. He's still doing the same blank. What did you make of that?
I think it's just probably frustration. I think, Mike Thomas to me is the guy that grew up with Drew Brees and used to having the ball right on his chest. And he's got so much loyalty, in my opinion, to the Saints. And I'm sure he's got a lot of buddies on the Saints, and to see them struggle and to see, I'm sure one of his friends and Chris Olave get hit with a ball that was a little bit high, I'm sure is very frustrating to him. But I think it was interesting listening to Derek Carr after the game talk about what went through his head on that play and talking about single high coverage. That's the ball where we want it thrown. And that's the unfortunate part about playing football, is sometimes those bang bang plays happen. And, you just hope that Chris Olave's healthy and he's okay. And it was a scary situation. I know he's dealt with some concussion stuff this year and in his past a little bit, but I think a lot of it was just frustration, I'm sure, from Mike Thomas, from being with the Saints when they're having tons of success and not seeing where they are now. I'm sure he's just got some frustration.
So I don't know. I'm frustrated with Derek Carr. I don't know what to, I go after Saints fans and say, like, you have to support your quarterback. You guys are all trashing your quarterback. What's that helping? He's great. He starts the season super hot. We saw him 2016 MVP-ish season when he has an incredible offensive line. Like, I don't know what to make of him. Can you, in a couple of sentences, tell me and size up Derek Carr's identity? What is his brand as an NFL quarterback?
I think he's one of those. I think he's smart. I think he can make all the throws. I think, they're probably wanting just a little bit more from him. They struggled in the red zone yesterday. There was a couple throws got thrown that he threw outside of a guy. They threw him high. They couldn't convert in the red zone. The last play of the game, the incomplete pass down the sideline to Cedric Wilson, just didn't get that ball completed. And I think that's really where their frustration comes from is, in the middle of the game, the beginning of the game, everything is flowing, balls on time where it needs to be. But in the big moments in the game, are you able to step up and deliver the ball? They paid him, I think he's making $37 million a year. I think they fully expect him with, Shaheed and Olave and Kamara and that offensive line they had before the injuries to step up and make the throws in big
So
moments.
how much of it's on him?
I think some of it certainly is on him, but when you look at their offense going into the season, I mean, Ramchek's been out, Eric McCoy, the center's been out, Cesar Ruiz, a tackle's out, the left tackle is a rookie, Shahid's out, Olave's out, Taysom Hill, a big part of what they do on the offensive side of the ball, he was out. Obviously, he played the last 2 games. It's just that's the NFL though, is guys banged up. You look at the Chiefs and what Mahomes has had to deal with. Running backs out. Kelsey had a slow start. All their receivers have been banged up the whole year. They go trade for somebody, now they're undefeated. I think some of it falls on Derek Carr, ultimately the quarterback, but at the end of the day, I mean, just they're so banged up everywhere on the defensive side of the ball. Top 2 corners are out. It's just there's a lot going on in New Orleans, and I don't think you necessarily can pin it on one guy.
Let's move on to the Cowboys. They lose a third straight game. If I were to pin it, a lot of people would pin it on maybe not their quarterback who left with a hamstring injury. They'd pin it on the owner, who CD has a shoulder-ish injury. Jerry somehow couldn't foresee these things coming into the season, free agency, the draft, and now he is saying this. He's the owner, is saying he's all in on this season still, and they're sitting there at what, 3-5? What are they? 3-5? I don't even know what they are. They've lost a third straight. Yeah, they're 3-5. He's saying things are in the mix for the Cowboys in the next 24 hours ahead of the trade deadline. What do they do at 3-5? Are we pro adding pieces?
I can't imagine that they would be adding anybody right now, but I think you always listen at the trade deadline. You never know what could pop up. You could get a steal and go grab somebody or get rid of somebody and pick up some picks. But to me, I think they got to worry about themselves right now in the sense of, I don't think you should trade for somebody. You don't know what's going on with Dak. You don't know what's going on with CD. Micah Parsons been out. Deron Bland's been out. DeMarcus Lawrence has been out. Brandon Cooks, he's been out. So I think when these teams go into the season and they look at what they think they're going to be, you always think, with our full slate of guys, we feel pretty good. And for me, with the Cowboys, they haven't been able to run the ball. They ran it okay yesterday, but I think what the storyline this year is, why didn't they go get Derrick Henry? I think that would have taken a lot of pressure off Dak Prescott in that offense. And I think this whole offseason, it's been a little bit of a struggle in the sense of, are you guys going to get Dak done? Is CD going to be around? What are you going to do with Micah Parsons? He's the next guy that's going to get paid. And then those guys don't show up, and then they start kind of rusty. They get the win against, obviously, Cleveland to start the year. But then guys start getting hurt, and new defensive coordinator. How much do they miss Dan Quinn? There's just a lot of other stuff kind of floating around, in my opinion. And adding one player to that team, I don't think necessarily changes them from 3-5 to winning the next 5.
I mean, their schedule sucks too. It's brutal. They should sell pieces. They should.
You could get rid of
pieces.
Rid of some guys. I mean, yeah, sell them, get rid of them.
Yeah, I would say Trayvon Diggs would be somebody that I would encourage them to give to a contender. So they've got to. That's what I hope he means by. I don't know what all in means. I mean, you're not going to say we're not all in. So we're all in, but I don't know. Maybe they should get rid of Zeke. Maybe they should.
Well, Zeke, I mean, Zeke's hard to get rid of now, and they just suspended him. You never know. Somebody could give him something crazy for it, and you take it. So
I think Trayvon Diggs. I would hope that they're at least. I don't know what to make of it. I just know that their over/under for the season was 9.5, and that was we're banging the under on that. Okay, last week the Bears, they allow this. I don't even want to ask you about the Bears. Why did the Bears look so uninspired yesterday?
Oh my gosh!
What? I don't even know. I think I texted Chris. I don't even want to ask about the Bears, so I don't know how it weaseled itself into this rundown. But go for it.
Yeah. Well, I think you kind of nailed it. Last week, they think they win the game. They go on the road against a hot team, number 1 pick versus number 2 pick. They have the game in the bag. And then it would have been one thing if a Hail Mary gets completed.
Totally.
That's obviously a gut punch in itself. But then you have the whole Tyreek Stevenson situation. And then you got to answer those questions Sunday, Monday, to Wednesday when the media comes back in. That just wears on you. And then you show up for this game. And then, they're largely in the game up until halftime. They go down and they just need to get a stop, and they go into halftime and regroup and feel good. And then Arizona pops that long run at the end of the first half. That's got to be so frustrating. You look at the defensive call, they had pressure going right into the run, and they don't touch him, they don't get him on the ground, and you go into halftime and you got to deal with that. It's like it just happened again. Instead of it being at the end of the game, it happened at halftime. It's the emotional toll that stuff like this happens, I think is very real in the NFL and in sports. And I can't imagine how frustrating that is. Hey, we're on the road, we're down 5, we haven't played our cleanest half, but we're in the game. Then gut punch, go into half, and you're shell shocked, and like, dang, like, is it happening again? So it's hard. And then Caleb Williams gets dinged at the end of the game.
Tell me about that. Like, I know, and everyone's like, oh, like, everyone's focused on Chris and Hamilton are like, the defensive play was worse than the Hail Mary. I get it. But to me, I'm with Charles Davis. At the end of the game, he's like, what is he doing in there? What is the decision making that is? And I kind of understand Coach being like, and he said it after the game. He said, Eberflus said, like, we're just getting in work. We need the reps. He's a rookie, whatever. But like, him getting dinged and limping off, that doesn't. As a Bears backer, I'm like, oh, what did you make of that?
You know what? Perfect world. Yeah, we'd love them have him out of the game, but I think the competitor in a lot of these guys is like, man, I want to be out there. I want to play. I want to get better. I want to get snaps. And you don't ever want to get taken out of the game.
Well, it's not up to Caleb, though. It's up to the coach, right? Caleb's not getting burned for that this morning. He should want to be in there playing. It's Coach's decision.
Yeah.
Coach's decisions leading up to that Hail Mary. Coach's decisions in this one. Like, that's coaching decisions in Chicago seem to be under the microscope. Do you think that's fair?
I think at the end of the game with the Hail Mary, I think a little bit. I think, they change. If they could do it over again, they try to get more pressure on Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
But the result of that play, I don't think is necessarily always on the coaches. I think the players and the coaches share the ownership for that. They definitely talk about that situation at the end of the game and how important it is and what your job is. Sometimes you just get out executed, and then the end of the half there, they called a play, a blitz right into the run game. That should be a no gain play. Tackle them for 5 yards, 10 yards at the most. And then, perfect world, you take Caleb Williams out, but I don't think you ever play the game of football saying, hey, what if we leave him in for another play, he's going to get hurt.
Okay,
So
I like Coach Eberflus. I've met him several times. I've talked to him a lot. We love DJ Moore. So let me tell you what just happened. He was visiting a radio show, I believe locally in Chicago. We have sort of he was asked, has Matt Eberflus lost this football team? So it's being reported. I didn't hear it yet, but apparently he said, and he's, by the way, a team captain, DJ Moore, right? We talked to him about Stevenson last week, about whatever. He said, I won't say no. Or he said, I want to say no, or I won't say no, that he's...
Cryptic.
I mean, translate that for me as a football player. Like, give me a take, Luke. What does that mean?
I think there's probably just frustration in the locker room with how the last 2 games have gone and how they've lost the games.
DJ Moore lost a lot of games. I never heard him say anything like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Without really being there, you can't tell. So.
Okay. Let's move on to the Eagles. The Eagles, they sneak out a win against the Jags. Everybody's talking about Saquon. I'll just let you wax poetic on this insane, freakish play. Just crazy. I don't know how we saw the guy. What is this?
I'm not sure what to make of it. But the best part is when obviously that spin move's crazy. He jumps, and then look how he finishes the play, falling forward. So he jumps over the guy going backwards. That spin move's ridiculous. Jumps over, gets hit, and then falls forward for another 2 yards. I don't know how his body control is unbelievable. And that's when the Giants drafted him early. That's what they were buying, is this athletic ability, this change of direction. He's second in the league in rushing yards, scrimmage yards. He's a big part of that offense, and it's interesting. These Penn State running backs have had a lot of success in that Sirianni offense. Miles Sanders was there, had a ton of success, very similar to Saquon. I think Saquon's just a more refined version, but he's special, and I'm sure that they are very excited to have him on the team.
Sirianni said it was the best play he's ever seen. I loved his demeanor in the post game talking about it. If you were to think and you were to put into like a frame the most ridiculous, absurd, that kind of play you've ever seen, what is it?
But we had Cam for a long time. He had a play in Houston, the Super Bowl. It was against Houston at home, 2015 Super Bowl year, where it was, yeah, it's right
There
here.
it
It was a
is.
draw play, and he just jumps over and then lands, and then almost lands on his feet. And Cam that year, he was like it was like a movie.
So
Everything he did was exciting. He would jump over guys for no reason. This play right here, like just jump, you just put your shoulder down and fall forward for a touchdown. But he wants to jump over, he wants to flip, he wants to land on his feet. One of the other guys, all-time teammate Jonathan Stewart, when him in that frame, to me, is exactly what Stu is a teammate, excited for everybody else making plays.
Yeah.
That's what that dude, I miss playing with him. He's an awesome guy. He's a great football player, but his excitement for when other guys made plays I thought was awesome.
I remember that year I was working in very closely, like in New England. I was in the Boston market, and it was I think I remember that year very well. And there was some sort of MVP race between Brady and him. And I'm watching this as like, I'm not from Boston, so I'm like in these newsrooms and everybody's just downplaying what Cam is doing because they're just so wired to like love Brady and like Brady's the best and how could there be any competition? And I would have to be the one like, are you guys seeing this? Like everyone wanted to be blind to what Cam was doing. Of course, he ultimately won MVP, and like it was just so funny to watch like New England be like, no, he's not. Like it's Tom Brady. It's Tom, and I'm like, Tom Brady's not doing that. That play you just showed me, like that's not happening. And it was amazing to watch this like race that was never a race because Cam had it in the bag the entire time. Just an incredible player. Got it. Those highlights are so that dance. I just loved. I miss that.
He
just
was
like
exciting.
just like
He was so
Yeah.
fun that year.
He was a shot in the arm. Loved that. Okay, we're gonna take a short break here. We're gonna get to the smartest moment. We're gonna get to some mid-season predictions with Luke after these. All right, time for the weekly Kuechly, not for the meekly, probably pretty geekly moment of genius. Luke Kuechly, future Hall of Famer. I need to know. I'm dying to know. What is the smartest thing you saw over the weekend? A moment, a call, a situation. What wins the moment of the week?
I think we're going to talk about the Detroit Lions again. They had a situation near the goal line, first touchdown drive of the game. I think Ben Johnson had a thought in his mind. He wanted to get the ball to St. Brown on this play, but they were a little bit too far out. So the play before, they draw them off sides. They get into, 4th and 2, and then they just say, hey, we're going to have a one-on-one matchup. We're going to put our number one player against your player. And then Jared Goff just throws a beautiful back shoulder ball. But I think to me, it really started on the play before where they were able to draw them off sides and get into a situation where this play call was able to be called. And I just think that Amon-Ra St. Brown is a fantastic receiver. I think he's got a great thing going with Jared Goff. And for him to put that back shoulder ball where it was is just a fantastic throw. And the trust to be able to do that when the weather is like it was yesterday just shows the confidence of Dan Campbell, Ben Johnson, Jared Goff, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown to get that play called.
They're now 7-3. I don't know that play that you just said put them up 7-3. They sort of like never looked back. Is it their NFC and everybody else is just living in it?
I think so. I mean, they're pretty daggone good for them to go on the road. Like you guys already talked about it. This show, first game outside to play as well as they did, and then I think they have a stretch here come up where they have their next game outside isn't until Christmas time. So I think they're rolling right now. They've got pieces everywhere. Jameson Williams will be back, I think, this week or next week. So I know they're missing their edge rusher, but they're gonna be all right.
What should I be worried about with this Packers team? I sort of thought they could go all the way. I'm getting a little hesitant.
I think how healthy is Jordan Love? I think that's the real thing. He's been bagged up. Talking about him limping yesterday. Did he have a groin? He's throwing, you got to protect the football. I think that's the number one thing with him is how well do you protect the football? And then they got stuffed on a couple 4th downs there, and you got to convert those. But I wouldn't be concerned with this team. The only thing that's concerning about them is that they're in a division with Detroit, so they have to finish strong the rest of the year to get one of those wild card spots.
If we look at Jared Goff and his MVP odds, I mean, Love isn't really being talked about. He's not highlighted here. But if you look at the mid-season vibes here, we've got Josh Allen leading the way at plus 270. You got Lamar Jackson. You got a lot to choose from. I ask you midway through. Kevin Durant said it's Derrick Henry. Who would you pick as the MVP?
I'm gonna go Josh Allen, and I know Lamar's had a great year, but I think there's more on Josh's plate, and I think without Josh at the helm, they've got a hard time. And I just love this play by him right here. He knows he's gonna get hit right in the face, but he's gonna extend this play. He's gonna compete. I think he's like, I'm gonna score and run. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm gonna throw it up and let my guy go make a play. And that's what I love about Josh Allen, and not to take anything away from anybody else, but his competitiveness, his toughness, his willing to do anything that he can to help that team win, I feel like is so Buffalo. Just tough, grit, loves football, he does it in a way that's not by the book, and I'm sure it drives Sean McDermott absolutely crazy, but he's done a great job protecting the football this year. I like the Bills. I'm a homer for the Bills. All my buddies are up there. So I'm gonna give Josh a nod right now at this point in the season.
When you talk to your buddies up there, is there a sense that things are just better than ever? Do they feel different than other years that we've said Josh Allen's going to do it? It's finally the year. Does anything feel different this year culturally when you talk to your friends up there?
I don't think so. I think more of it is we have to play well when it matters. So, I think with Buffalo, I think they're obviously the division is down this year. That's kind of been down for a couple years now. For them, the biggest hurdle is can we get to the postseason healthy? They've had Milano's been banged up, Bernard's been banged up. Can they get there healthy? And then when they do get there, can they go make the plays in big moments? I think that's the one thing that they want to. If you ask them and they're honest with you, I think that's how they would answer. When we get to the postseason, we have to step up. We have to create turnovers. We got to play well on defense, and we have to control the ball and win the turnover battle. I think that's kind of really when their season starts. No one's looking ahead, but they're a good football team. They're a playoff football team as long as Josh Allen's on that team. And for them, it's when the postseason comes up, are they able to capitalize and step up and make the plays when they need to?
Who would you say is coach of the year 9 weeks in?
I think that one's easy. I think Dan Quinn for
really?
what? Yeah, for ownership change, new GM. You drafted a rookie quarterback second overall. I think they're 3-14 or something last year, and now they're rolling. And when you watch teams play, I especially on the defensive side of the ball, how hard do they run to the football? How hard do they play? How important is it to them? Do they have joy when they're playing? I think Jaden Daniels is a big part of it, but I think a lot of it has to do with Adam Peters and certainly, obviously, Dan Quinn. That's the answer to the question. But I think he lets those guys play. I think he lets them be themselves. I think he empowers them to have fun. And when you watch them play and the success that they've had this year, I think a lot of that has to do with the culture and the mindset that Dan Quinn has brought there.
It's a great answer because it's less about, and obviously it's a great storyline too. They haven't had a winning season since 2016. And he's leading them to that right now. And there's that and there's good pieces, but it's how much joy do you have running
just
to the
fun.
ball
Football
on
should
the
be
defensive
fun.
side. And that's all leadership.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I was watching the Panthers played Denver last week, and I was watching some stuff leading up to it, and that defense with Vance Joseph, they are running to the football. When you pause the tape at the end of the play and you count dudes around the ball, it's like 10, 11, 10, and they're all close in. I don't know. I think that's kind of a nerd thing, but
no, it's not. It's like a thing I don't watch for that.
Yeah.
I don't watch.
How hard do you run to the ball? And when you know you're not going to make the tackle, how hard do you run to the ball? Because to me, it shows this is Vance Joseph from the top down, but it shows how important is it to show the other guys on your team that it matters to you. Like it shows how important that play is to you.
Got it. I'm just thinking it just, yeah. That's a great way to put good leadership. Interesting.
Yeah.
Very
in
interesting.
defense, it's easy to measure.
So interesting. So interesting. And then you see the teams that aren't that aren't doing it. I know I'm not going to get those out of you, but the teams that are taking plays off or not, you know, they have no why, I guess, no motivation, no like, I don't even know. I don't know how do you call it, like when you know it's not a great coach, there it's just lacking. It's so interesting. It's how I'm going to look at things from now on. Great call by you. Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, heavy favorite. Is it anybody but T.J. Watt? And if it was somebody else, who's going to take that?
So I think T.J. Watt's always in there. I think I wouldn't be surprised if he wins it again. I'm going to go with the guy that's not on the list. I think he's just been fun to watch. Xavier McKinney's got 6 picks this year for the Packers, and there hasn't been a safety to win it since 2010 with Troy Polamalu. So guys that turn the football over to me at a rate that he's doing it deserve a little recognition. I know TJ, if TJ wins it, I wouldn't be surprised if he does. He 100% deserves it, but spice it up a little bit. Xavier McKinney with the Packers has had a fantastic start to the season, and safeties don't get enough love sometimes.
Love that. Okay, let's hit. Well, hold on. Are your kids in the playoffs still?
No, no playoffs. No playoffs for us. We finished our season. What? No. Nope.
Were those kids running to the ball after a play? What's going on there, coach?
They better
What
be
happened?
running to the ball. No playoffs. We don't have playoffs in our.
Oh, I thought they didn't make the playoffs.
Oh no. We were on a burner. We were getting hot there at the end of the year.
I was told some bad information then because I was told that you guys made it to the playoffs and I was supposed to congratulate you. Clearly, I was wrong.
That might have been my fault. Miscommunication.
No, I literally heard it from like a fan. Like
Oh,
messaged
really?
me about it, and I clearly I was wrong about that.